So I've had a conversation a couple times with a couple different people. I guarantee it's not a very popular conversation, but it is what it is. I believe there's no such thing as dumb questions, right? Because in algebra, college algebra, macro and microeconomics, I was afraid to ask questions because I didn't want to sound or look stupid. But I was happy that other people asked that question so I could get my answer, right? So those questions were not stupid, even though sometimes we may feel as they are. In the same token, there is something such as dumb questions. People might not agree with me, but there's certain questions that when you ask, I question your smarts. I question your intelligence. I question your critical thinking. Example, we go to IKEA or Walmart, buy a shelf, get home, and you ask, how do you put this together? I qualify that as a dumb question. Because how do you put it together? You read the instructions and you put it together. Is the car engine hot? I don't know. Is it? You just drove it and parked it in the front. Is the car engine hot? Yes. How do you turn on that light? Well, you look for a light switch and you hit it, right? I'm not being inconsiderate by expecting you to have some critical thinking. I am the other aspect of that, right? I don't ask for help for nothing. I rarely ask anyone any questions. And I'm not saying that that's okay either. But if you ask me a question, I'm assuming you've already tried, you know? It's even more important and bigger in work, right? I'm not gonna ask my boss, how do you do this? Unless I tried relentlessly and failed, and that's my last resort. Why? Because if he hired me, I am assuming that he's assuming that I could figure out my job and do it. We all been trained. We all know that 99.999% of training anywhere and everywhere doesn't work or is not done correctly. You know? So I'm assuming you have some critical thinking. And I'm sure that my boss assumes the same. So it is a dumb question when you ask me how to turn on that switch, unless you have walked around the whole house, the whole restaurant, the whole building, the whole floor, especially when it's not going to take you an hour to do so, and you tried all those switches, right? Because if not, I'm going to question my hiring decisions. Maybe not to that extreme, but so yes, I do believe there is such thing as dumb questions. I also believe there's no such thing as dumb questions. I guess it all depends on what question it is. we gotta be real attentive and careful with the analogies that we live by, right? We can't live with life is like a chess game because you're always gonna be in a battle, and that's not life. However, sometimes life can be a chess game, many a times, and that's useful. Just not 100% of the time. Just like the questions being dumb. They're not always dumb, but sometimes they really are. Love ya. Get some.